crypto bros make money literally by making money, and they've made over $1 trillion out of thin air. They'll accuse the U.S. government of making money out of thin air. Maybe we do, but we're the U.S. government.
Welcome back, hard forkers, to our intermittent videos. But I think that's about to change. There is so much happening at the moment that you got to get involved.
Okay, so a BRC, first of all, an ordinal is just a single Satoshi that's been given information. So much in the same way Ethereum has NFTs, you have individual tokens that hold data. We're starting to see the same thing on the Bitcoin network, where we have individual sats that have inscribed data onto them. So some of the data that we can see, I'll just pull up, everybody's familiar with NFTs. So I'll just go to Ordi Swap. Yeah, Ordi Swap. And the first time that we heard about ordinals was in the context of NFTs. So I'll start there. We'll talk about NFTs. And these are just Bitcoin NFTs. So the Bitcoin network now has the ability to issue and trade non-fungible tokens. Now, the next evolution of that is what we're going to be talking heavily about today, and that's BRC20 tokens. So as it stands right now, the BRC20 tokens are technically NFTs. Each one has a unique ID. Each one has it has been assigned to an individual Satoshi, and people are trading them OTC and with these kind of NFT-like marketplaces. But further on down the road, this kind of lays down the tracks for different apps like DEXs. So I think in the coming months, we're going to see some sort of Uniswap on Bitcoin. And then from there, we're going to blossom a much more elaborate DeFi infrastructure on the Bitcoin network.
Okay, so look, I'm completely fascinated by this. I was up for hours last night researching what's going on. There's all sorts of conspiracy theories around it's BSV people trying to clog up the BTC network. What's your overall feeling on, is this good for Bitcoin? Is it?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, if you've been in Bitcoin long enough to get into a Twitter argument with an Ethereum nerd, one argument that comes up very, very often is the security longevity of the Bitcoin network. Yeah. As the block rewards reduce every 4 years, miners get half the block reward. We needed to transition into fees. And this is the first time in Bitcoin's entire history that the fees were higher than the block reward. We actually had a day where several blocks went by where the fees generated from the mania of BRC20 actually exceeded the block reward. So this completely debunks that narrative that Bitcoin's security can't scale. It actually has, it can easily transition off of the block reward, and miners can fully secure the network purely based on fees.
So this show here, I really want to sort of keep it real basic for people that are coming into this space and trying to explain this development. To me, it looks like there's a huge opportunity here. We're looking at that market cap that's probably a few days old, but it's around $1 billion. To put it in perspective,
it's very volatile. It was $1 billion yesterday, now it's half that. It's extremely volatile.
This is where I'm going with this. So for somebody watching this and trying to wrap their head around what the hell's going on with Bitcoin, crypto in general, how would you describe it? My sort of 2 cents worth here is, we've got a market cap that's sort of fluctuating between 600 million and $1 billion. To put that in perspective, ERC20 tokens on Ethereum, that's 250. So, there's a lot of hype out there right now. Have people missed the boat? What is this?
I don't think so.
Where do you begin?
Not at all. Now, I cannot stress enough how early you are. Like most people, if you're new to crypto, you're probably going to struggle to even buy this stuff because there's so little infrastructure built out You can't even buy it. Certain centralized services like Gate.io and Binance are beginning to offer trades on Ordi and Meme. And so they are starting to trade some of these assets, but to go, at the origin, go to the source, it's still, the user experience is terrible. And it's a very fragmented and broken system, but it's getting better every day. It's pretty crazy how much is being built. It's amazing what a flood of money will do for a developer's incentives.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So up until now, we've been using, Ethereum to trade in the DeFi world with whatever it is, that whether it's an exchange or Uniswap or whatever. The question I think a lot of people probably have right off the bat is the initial capital you need to start with is Bitcoin itself.
Correct.
Because like I think a lot of us have heard the word Satoshi. We know that sats become Bitcoin. I guess it's kind of like pennies to the dollar sort of idea.
Exactly.
So I think the difficult part about BRC20 is that, like, for instance, when I got into DeFi or altcoins, for me, the hard part to get my head around was to change my Bitcoin into Ethereum. And I think I eventually did that I think back in the day, I did that with Binance. So today, I think even me, I only just found out, in the past 48 hours that with BRC20, I would have to either take Bitcoin from my ledger or wherever I have it, and I would have to transfer that to a wallet that's made for this. Like I just told you earlier, Baloo, I got the
Unisat wallet, yeah.
So basically, for starters, people have to start with Bitcoin, right?
Correct, yeah.
It's odd to me that that's not an obvious fact right off the bat.
Yeah, it's interesting. What's really interesting to me is just how quickly this came. So, I mentioned with the Taproot upgrade, we're setting up for DeFi. I said that, maybe a few months ago when I was waiting for the upgrade. I think it was in November of last year for the Taproot upgrade. I'm like, oh, we're getting ready for DeFi and Bitcoin. But it's happening so fast. And yeah, the native currency is Bitcoin. So, just like when you want to go buy an NFT on the Ethereum network, you need ETH, or you're going to trade on a liquidity pool. In the early days of DeFi on Ethereum, the trading pairs were always ETH. Then they added USDC, then they added DAI. They added all of the stablecoin pairs later. So you now have the option to trade stable assets. But yeah, we're in the early days. So a lot of we don't even have a Uniswap. We don't have a way to swap in a trustless way. We're using, custodial escrow exchanges right now. But that's the goal. That's the next step.
But I've got to jump in there. Jesse asked a great question there. I think today we're going to keep this so super simple for people that for years now we've been trying to get people into Bitcoin. I think this is a wonderful opportunity. I'm still trying to understand this, just as Jesse's said himself. It's tricky. Let's go really back to basics here. What would the first thing somebody would do if they wanted to have a little swing at what's going on here?
Well, you need a compatible wallet.
Stuff, but how do they start? Where do you go first?
You need a compatible wallet. So Unisat has a wallet. This is basically your MetaMask. So anybody who has used a MetaMask wallet, that's, for Ethereum and Ethereum compatible chains. This is for Bitcoin. So it has a very similar user experience to MetaMask. So you're going to need that. And then you're going to need to transfer some Bitcoin into that wallet. And then you need to start looking at marketplaces and BRC 20 marketplaces. The user experience for purchasing right now is very difficult. And I would also say that the educational resources are quite difficult as well. It's all Git books right now. So, here's one example of a Git book for a BRC20 liquidity pool. This doesn't exist yet. The liquidity pool doesn't exist. So I guess this would kind of be the equivalent of a white paper. But yeah, the resources are very few and far between. Most of the market participants right now are, aping in, like, we'll figure this stuff out later. I just want to get some now. So they're FOMOing into this stuff without really knowing anything. There's no fundamentals to back it, because as it stands right now, all these tokens don't do anything. They do nothing, absolutely nothing. They have no apps built. So, the fundamentals of the educational side, it's all theoretical. It's like the ICO craze, this is what we want to do, but we have nothing.
It's weird. A feeling came to me, which is like, I laughed earlier when Sean asked, and it was a valid question when Sean asked, have we missed the boat? And to me, it seems more like, no, we're at the pier 12 hours early. And honestly, I feel like the boat for things that people in the news and YouTube, they're already saying, oh, these things are dead. I feel like that boat's just half full and about to leave the pier.
Yeah, I would say that right now, if you bought a BRC 20 token, you're buying the lumber to build a boat because there's nothing built. Like,
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's make this idiot proof. Where do you go first? What's the first? I mean, links below, people. We'll put some real time and effort.
So, are we going with Unisat wallet?
Unisat wallet is what I recommend. I've noticed the fastest development with Unisat, and a lot of the other projects, when they are referencing buy the token, they point you towards Unisat. So I think at this stage in the game, Unisat's kind of the trusted source for this stuff. So if you go to unisat.io, you can download the wallet there. You can also inscribe your own ordinal if you want to create a PFP, or if you want to launch an NFT collection. You can also launch your own BRC 20 token if you want.
99% of people just went, what the hell is he saying?
Well, so it's like creating an NFT. You can create an NFT, you can create coins. Just like on Ethereum, you can create an NFT, you can create coins.
Okay.
It's up to you if you want to do that or not, or you can go to the marketplace and start looking at different coins. You can start at, a good place to start is brc20.io, and you can start looking at some of these projects that are ranked top tier right now. So this would be kind of your coin market cap or your coin gecko specifically for BRC20 tokens.
Yep.
So you can monitor the volatility. If there's ones that seem to consistently be at the top, then maybe look into them a little bit further. I hold some meme. I know that Pepe has been at the top for a while. Ordi was the number one. So look into any of the potential plans for the Ordi token. But again, this is super early days, like super.
Yeah. And people have to know that they will be sacrificing the most well-known king of all crypto, Bitcoin, for something that even the smartest people have no idea what it is.
There's nothing to know. These are quite literally useless tokens. It's very similar to what we saw with the ICO craze.
Right.
Here are some tokens. They don't do anything right now, but give us some time and then we'll make some things happen.
Yeah. So the whole idea of buying BRC 20 tokens right now is the potential of being a big bag owner of something down the line that will be expensive.
For me, the big difference here is that a lot of, NFTs, play to earn games, etc. None of that stuff's really been on chain. It's not been actually on a blockchain. There's been a lot of smoke and mirrors. I think the big difference here in very, very basic terms for, people that are trying to wrap their heads around this is to explain that why I'm kind of excited about this, it's on chain.
Mm-hmm.
You've got something that's actually on the Bitcoin network. So you've got the Bitcoin network, you've got Bitcoin, two different things, people. So This is on the network. It's there forever.
Yeah.
And that's a very big difference to everything else. So
correct.
That's why I'm excited. That's why I'm putting some money into this, not financial.
Yeah. And, Ethereum NFTs started out that way as well. Like CryptoPunks, those are on-chain NFTs.
Yeah.
Then they made more gas efficient contracts where, like Bored Ape Yacht Club, you get a token. There's no disputing that. You have a token, but the actual metadata for the image is pointing to IPFS.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if we see that happen here as well. Like this is so early days. Yes, everything that's on here that you're seeing today is inscribed on the blockchain, but we might see more interesting stuff come from just linking to the internet as well. Like we saw with Ethereum.
Yep. So I'm just going to zoom out for 2 minutes here. The only time that I ever watch the news is when I'm staying in hotels, and last couple of days has been shocking to me. The RT, the Russian channel, which is banned in pretty much every Western country on the planet. I literally spent hours watching this. I don't think people should be under any illusions that we're already at war, whether you want to call it a currency war or whatever. But believe me, things are on here, people. Bitcoin, smart money is looking at this at the moment. This is a bit of a curveball here. We're all still trying to wrap our heads around it, but I think it represents an awesome opportunity for you, the viewer, to really start upping your game and learning. So we're going to do our best to really sort of spell this out in very basic terms. So, okay, we've shown people where to set up a wallet. What else can you share with us at this point, Baloo? Basic terms.
It's pretty limited. You can go to the marketplace once you have some Bitcoin on your wallet.
Yeah.
And you can throw some darts at a wall and hope that something sticks. But the fundamentals are really weak. I would put some stuff on your watch list. So here's a link for Oshi.fi. This is trying to be a Uniswap. I think things are going to get a lot more clear once we have the Uniswaps, once we have the MakerDAOs, once we have stable coins and all of these different, inventions that we've already seen on Ethereum coming over to Bitcoin once the solutions have been thought of. But right now, again, like I can't stress enough, like nothing's built. It's just you could buy something and it'll go to zero. And I don't mean like Ethereum zero, where you can still pull your money out of a liquidity pool. I mean like 0, there's no liquidity pool to pull it from. You can never get the money back.
Right.
Like real zero. So, but there's, Oshi.fi, and then there's Liquidity Pool. These are both kind of attempting to do that Uniswap service. That's the first step. Once we have liquidity pools, now we can introduce stable coins. We can introduce a whole bunch of different things as well. So yeah, high risk. There's no alpha other than this is happening. The only alpha I have is BRC20 exists and DeFi on Bitcoin is being built. But I have no direction. I have no direction into what I think is going to, perform here.
I guess my attitude at this point is, Jesse and I have been doing this for going on 7 years now. And I, got a bit excited last night. I went back over old videos, and, to me, it just feels like here's a great opportunity to get people into Bitcoin, to understand it. But what are your thoughts, Jesse? Let's start with you. Is this a good thing or a bad thing from what you're seeing so far?
I can't imagine it being a bad thing. I could only imagine that it brings attention and interest into the whole overall space. The only thing that I notice a lot, I always mumble under my breath that everyone knows the future. Everyone seems to know what's happening next. Everyone has their idea of what's exactly going to be. And it's like, no, we can make educated guesses. We can use everything we've learned. At the end of the day, you don't know. So what I think is more important is for people to not pull triggers too fast on anything, whether it's buying or selling Bitcoin for BRC20s. Or I think what's more important is just, do what we're doing right now is try our best to educate ourselves in the most, not self-sabotaging way. Because as we just saw with this meme coin craze, like, I don't know how many friends said, hey man, I just bought a bunch of blank. And they told me right around the time where it obviously topped. And it was only then when I got 4 or 5 different messages from people saying, what should I do? Should I sell now? Should I hold it? And I'm like, bro, if you're at this point, maybe you should just not sell it and feel the burn so that you learn your lesson.
It's a great opportunity to coax some more people to learn about Bitcoin. But, Blue, as you say, we don't know. This could be your pants get pulled down here and you lose the lot. We don't know. On that note, have you looked at ordspace.org?
This is just another kind of coin market cap for BRC20 tokens and ordinals. So NFTs and BRC20s.
Yeah. So look at these numbers here is my point. be
And
careful.
this is nothing, honestly. Like I was seeing 2,500% 2 days ago on certain projects. I was seeing like 800%, like stupid stuff. Now, I will also say that those numbers right now are very misleading because the liquidity on this stuff is ridiculous. Like you couldn't get out of these things if you tried. Like it's like an NFT. You put an NFT on the marketplace, it'll sit for a day or two, and you hope that somebody buys your one token. So like this is multiple tokens. The liquidity for this stuff is bad. So don't worry about the market cap and the percentage gains, because really all it is somebody putting it on a list and it just so happens that it's the lowest price. It doesn't mean that there's actually trading volume going on. I think the total trading volume yesterday, it was like $200,000. Like there's no, and I think somebody also found out that there's 50,000 users total all over the globe. Is 50,000. Like the liquidity is terrible. So I would ignore a lot of the percentage stuff at this stage. It's going to be up 500% and it's going to be down 99%. Then it's going to rally 400%. Like it's all over the map.
Okay. I mean, somebody that's just coming into crypto at the moment, what would be, in the most basic of basic terms, how would you explain the Bitcoin blockchain, how it's different to the other blockchains, and what's happening right now with these BRC20s in real basic terms?
I think that, all of the blockchains are trying to create an internet of value. And for me personally, I think that Bitcoin has the highest security, number one. And I also think it has the biggest culture of not changing things. And because we're talking about money, you need to depend on the hardness of money. You need to depend on the parameters of money.
Yep.
So for me, we've seen a lot of really exciting stuff on Ethereum and other competitor chains. And Bitcoin's been lacking and nobody really cared about Bitcoin because it didn't do that stuff. Now we're having those lessons that we learned on other chains come to Bitcoin. And we're seeing this whole new rebirth here. Me as kind of a Bitcoin network maximalist, I think that this is really good. I think that Bitcoin, for me at least, has the highest potential of being the chain that kind of ends up being the dominant and lasting chain for the internet of value. Plenty of people that disagree with me on that, but those are just my thoughts.
Jesse, thoughts on that comment?
I agree.
It's looking that way, isn't it? Look, the big difference here, and the reason that I've had very little sleep, literally my brain went into overdrive last night. We've got to understand that there is a currency war happening at the moment. Argentina was a real use case for Bitcoin when I got into this space about 7-8 years ago. My friends were helping some farmers get around capital controls. Hyperinflation was happening in that country. And right now we have a situation where it's looking like the yuan is going to be the currency used by Argentinians. Moving forward, there are all sorts of massive geopolitical moves happening at the moment, people, and this all comes back to Bitcoin. It's the one form of money that you really do own yourself, you control. So, okay, what we're talking about today is,
shitcoins on Bitcoin.
Exactly. And we want to keep that in perspective. We're not a shitcoin channel. We never have been. So I think there's a great opportunity here to really look at the big picture, zoom out a little bit. But at the same time, if you have been sitting on the fence, now's maybe your time to up your game and understand what the hell is going on. Because, as I say, less than $1 billion market cap, Ethereum's to a 250x. So to me, there's going to be a hype train here, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
And I look at every cycle too as having like different key moments in a total price cycle. Like you have the euphoric top where you end up going into a really large retracement and people are in denial. And then it gets to the point where they don't want to sell because they're down too far and it retraces another 50. Then things get really, really quiet and we trade sideways for a while. And things just, everybody leaves, like all the discords are empty. You don't see messages flying anywhere. And then there's an innovation that takes place. And the innovation is kind of like the tinder, the kindling for the next bull market. And I think that what we're seeing here with potential full-blown DeFi on the Bitcoin network is that little spark of the next cycle. This is the innovation. This is that part of the price cycle where, you know, above everything else, you need to pay attention. You need to get back into the discords. You need to get back into the Telegram chats. You need to start reading the Git books. You need to start making yourself aware of what's happening and then make decisions based off of what you're going to discover in the next couple months, because what you discover in those next couple months is really going to dictate your success in the next run.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen people murmuring that, like, you know, NFTs are dead, Ethereum is dead, all of this stuff, and it's like almost without any solid explanation, almost as if like it's a tsunami of FUD based on facts, right? I don't think they're just saying this just for whatever reason. Like maybe they're anti-Ethereum maximalists or something like that. But Baloo, have you heard or seen this kind of, I don't know, weird sentiment coming along?
100%. And this is just part of the price cycle. You know, when you're looking at the day-to-day, like you're going to have volatility in the market. But when you look at the large data sets, these price cycles are the cycles of human emotion. And the human emotion right now, most of the market says it's dead because, you know, they're not any particular coin maximalist. They're just, you know, anti-down bad maximalists, and everybody's lost money and they don't want to even look at this stuff. Like they don't want to open up their portfolio. They want nothing to do with it. So it's just, this is part of the cycle. This is always part of the cycle.
It's funny
when everybody hates it, you should be buying.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, like, right, if everyone's saying we're all doomed, that's a good time to start keeping your eyes peeled. I was also saying, it's funny because I was on a Spaces just today filled with some of the top NFT, you know, chads, bros, whatever you want to call them, and it was a 50-50 split of some of them sounding straight up doom and gloom, depressed, and these are guys that have, like, you know, 15 Bored Apes.
Right.
Yeah, they have a whole lot of reason to be crying right now.
Well, then,
right.
Yeah, I know. I feel really bad for them because, you know, they're down from like 50 million to 40 million. But like, it was even weird because I was sitting there not taking part in the conversation, but just listening, and you had some of them saying, guys, just because so and so, some well-known NFT holder, just because he sold, you know, over half of his whatever recently, doesn't mean that they're gone. Someone else just came and bought them. Someone else has them now. And it's like any excuse people can have to take something as a sign of the apocalypse seems to be very easy. And I do think as humans, we tend to easily lean into the darkness because it just comes so goddamn naturally to us. But that's why I don't like to call myself a bull, but I'm clearly more bullish in life because I do see a positive outlook if you look far enough ahead. But it's easy to do that when you've got food on your plate and money to pay the rent and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good words. Look, you know, the reason I'm just beyond hyped up at the moment to get back into this is, I mean, the negative sentiment out there, everyone's worried about the debt ceiling in the US. You know, is the global economy going to collapse? But to me, it's just this comedy situation of watching the powers that be completely fuck things up from whatever side you're supporting here. It's getting ridiculous. And, you know, for me, okay, this BRC 20 thing is a wonderful opportunity because we're going to have a flood of people going, holy shit, you know, my friend doubled their money. They tripled their money. They made 100x. Let's use that to bring people in. But most importantly, I think, you know, this chat is completely off the cuff, people. I think we should just do this on the regular, share our thoughts, no edit. You know, we're learning with you on this one. And it could go in many, many directions, but the basics, you've got to do a bit of work here and understand the bigger picture. So if we could sort of flip back there, Blue, we made a video the other week about BISC, buying Bitcoin
peer-to-peer.
Yeah, and protecting your privacy. But for somebody watching this, that's probably a little tricky for them. Step number one, if you're watching this and you're like, oh, okay, I want to make 250x. Okay, fuck off, people. Learn about Bitcoin first. We'll help you on that one. Where do they go? What are the obvious moves for somebody to get in now and own some Bitcoin? And then we'll go through the BRC 20s.
I would say just go click the easy button for now. Like if you're in the US or you have access to Coinbase's user experience is really, really easy. Just get some fucking Bitcoin, but don't leave it on the exchange. Put it onto a wallet that you own, that you control, and we can point you in the direction for a tutorial on that. There's a whole bunch of different wallets. You can trust pretty much all of them, but we can absolutely make recommendations on the wallets that we trust. But it has to be in your control. That's step number one. Once you have skin in the game, you're going to start to educate yourself just intrinsically because you hold this thing, you want to learn more about it.
Yeah.
Then when you start to learn more about it, you'll start to dive into the world of privacy and how do I make sure that these can't be taken away because Coinbase knows I have this. So what if the US government comes and, asks Coinbase who I am and where my wallet is and they can come and take it. Yeah. So it's like most things. Where do you start? You just start at the easiest way possible and you build your skills from there. To start off in this space and start using BISC and doing peer-to-peer, it's a completely unreasonable ask of anybody. Yeah. You just need to start. You just need to get some Bitcoin. Start by buying some Bitcoin and learning how to transfer it to your wallet. That's where you start. You just learn how to do a transaction from exchange to you. That's where you start. And then you just build from there.
Yeah.
Totally. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, look, Jesse and I made our first video. I think it was, it's about 6 years ago now. I watched a bunch of them last night. I haven't felt this, I don't know, excited is maybe not the right word, but
I'm incredibly excited because
me, it feels like there's a purpose to be doing this again right now.
Yes. And it all circles back to getting people onto Bitcoin. We know what the bull markets do. What do the bull markets do? They bring in people who are just looking to make money, okay? And they might come in, and depending on when they come in, they're either going to be buying Bitcoin or they're not, at least in previous cycles. If you came in late in the last cycle, you probably don't have a single Satoshi to your name. You've never bought Bitcoin before in your life. You might have some Ethereum, you might have some Cardano, you might have some Avalanche or some of these other, tokens, but you don't have a single Bitcoin. Yeah. And Bitcoin is the real coin when it comes to unconfiscatability, neutral global currency. And so I'm excited. It's a double-edged sword because I know a lot of people are going to rush in and they're going to lose a lot of money like they always do. But after they're done losing all their money, they're going to know how the Bitcoin network works. They're going to have Bitcoin wallets. They're going to know how to operate on the Bitcoin network in a sovereign way. So even though I'm against shitcoins, these things are going to bring scams. It's just what happens. And a lot of people are going to lose. They're going to lose on the Bitcoin network and they're going to learn a lot. And it's going to be a net positive long-term, I think.
Subscribe to this channel. Baloo's links are also below where I think content's going to come a lot thicker and faster than it has been over, the last year from this channel. For me now, this is insane what's going on in general, but here we are all of a sudden, the hype around Bitcoin is here. So let's use this as an opportunity to, onboard as many people as possible. I don't think you necessarily would lose money here. We can't give financial advice, but if you're putting $1,000, $500, whatever you got, $100 into Bitcoin, once you've done that, once you've understood the wallet, take 20% of that and play this game. I'm going to do it with maybe 5% of my stack just to have, as you say, skin in the game. And, as we know with, airdrops, etc., you've got projects that are effectively nerds that have set something up and they reward you for trying things out, for getting involved, for spreading the word. And it kind of feels like there might be that opportunity here on the Bitcoin network with, you know, with these nerds. And I've been following a bunch of them. We're going to get we'll get a few on the channel. But for me, if you've been sitting on the sidelines, stay in for the next month. Don't spend that money on that drink, that meal. Buy some freaking Bitcoin now and
Oh,
learn.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Good advice. By the way, Baloo, speaking of nerds, I have a nerd question, but it's also a nerd piratey question, sort of, how about this? A freedom question.
Sure.
So with the folks that want to, let's say someone's got Bitcoin on a ledger or a Trezor, and they want to get that Bitcoin into their Unisat wallet so they can buy these new phenomenon of token. When sending from the ledger or Trezor or whatever have you to this Unisat wallet, how
does that go unnoticed or
how
unsurveilled?
Yeah, how surveilled is that?
So privacy is a pretty complex thing. What's unique about the Bitcoin ecosystem and the internet is you can audit what's happened in the past. So, you know, to be truly private, trying to get your ledger into the Unisat wallet, you do need to basically run your own Bitcoin node, and you need to do all of your operations on a VPN or preferably the Tor network. Now, I don't know if Tor will work with Unisat's wallet, so you'll at least have to do a VPN, hide your DNS, hide your IP, and then route your transaction through a node that you control. And then, you know, you have the least number of potential eyes that could be looking at a transaction like that.
So basically what we're saying is, especially for newcomers or intermediate crypto heads, if you are paranoid,
run your own node.
Stay paranoid.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're
Stay
paranoid, good job.
Exactly, you're on the right track.
but also run a node. And I think that what people, I think initially what some people might say, like, I don't want to run a node because there's no payment in it for me. It's more just to help the blockchain, health of Bitcoin.
Yep.
But now we know it's not just that. It's also, you can use it in a way to be more private.
Yep. Yeah, and look, let's stay on this topic for a moment here, because I've had a long, hard think about things, and for me, it feels like now or never for Bitcoin. It really does. I think the world's going to hell in a handbag on so many fronts. And the obvious thing that you can do for yourself is to hedge against that. I hate to use the word Armageddon asset. But the reality is, we live on an island where 80% of the people here, or feels like that percentage, are fleeing a war. Things are ramping up all over the place. It's time, people. This asset is there for this. We can talk about inflation, blah 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 blah, till the cows come home. But for me, own some Bitcoin. I can't give you financial advice. We've probably said a million things already in the show that's going to get it banned, but fuck it. Yeah, that is financial advice.
Well, yeah, one thing easier than doing this BRC20 thing at the moment,
buy some Bitcoin.
Buy Bitcoin and then shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Correct.
Seriously, because unlike previous cycles where liquidity was leaving Bitcoin to go and experiment with different altcoins, we're setting up for an altcoin cycle where the first thing you need to do is hit market buy on a centralized exchange and buy Bitcoin. So very good point. Like, you don't need to touch any of this stuff. You don't need to buy NFTs. You don't need to buy BRC20 tokens. The demand for Bitcoin is about to go through the roof.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're having anxiety about BRC20,
Don't worry about it.
what he just said over and over again in your head.
And look, the good thing here, people, is for me, I think this channel over the coming months is going to be about friends and family, people we want to help. That's why we're doing this. So hit us up with your questions, but also you're kind of starting off on the same level as us on this BRC20 stuff. We will bring the best people in the space on this channel to help you and to also help us. So now's your time. Go on this journey with us. We'll figure it out together. Best case, you make shit ton of money. Worst case, you learn about Bitcoin and you're in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Jesse, at this point, have you bought in any of these yet?
I've only got set up. I only set up the Unisat wallet, but I kind of made like a self-promise to not touch my Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And so, which means like, and it's almost, it's not necessarily, it's almost like a superstition for me. It's like, I don't want to tap into this golden, hidden, untouched, hidden cave that I have. I mean, I do have a brand new untouched ledger laying around. Yeah, right here. It's not even opened. Ledger X. I mean, I could make this the new one, and I could make this the test one with BRC20s and all kinds of stuff like that, and use BISC to get this stuff on there, which we can talk about later. But other than that, I've just been, I've been through so many years of ups and downs and learning lessons and failures and some success stories that I'm over it when it comes to jumping headfirst into a pool where I have no proof there's water in it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not, like if I'm at a party with my friends, they're like, let's go jump in the pool. I want to check if there's water in the pool first. A lot of people aren't even checking if there's water. So I'm just taking it slow here. And I love, like, just now I've learned more than I knew an hour ago. Just let's not burn every opportunity just because we wanted to possibly become a millionaire in a week. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, look, I mean, they're fantastic words. You and I kicked this off back in 2016. For me, I think we should be building a community of people that really are on the same level when it comes to seeing a big picture of what the hell is happening on the planet right now. That's what this channel is. We don't want 100,000 viewers and cheesy sponsors. There's a load of bullshit out there. It continues to be the case in the space. Let's make this very interactive moving forward, because as I say, we're kind of starting off at layer one with you guys too when it comes to BRC20. So look, get yourself some Bitcoin, even if it's $20, $30 right now. The reality is, when you look at the airdrops that we've all got over the last couple of years, all it is interacting with a wallet, taking the time to learn something, and you get rewarded with an airdrop. Do you see that type of thing happening here, Blue?
I don't see why not. The developers are constantly looking for creative ways to create incentives.
Yeah. People
like to trade tokens, whether they have intrinsic value or not. Getting some collective memorabilia is in terms of interacting with effectively a smart contract protocol.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. I think we're already seeing it with some of these ordinal inscriptions where you buy this NFT. There's one called BTC machines, and like they're just dropping NFTs to the holders consistently. So it's already happening.
Yeah. Work your way towards getting 1 Bitcoin. That's a really good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And like Sean just said, even if it's $20 here, $20 there, once you take that very first step, it's actually quite shocking how quickly you get to your goal. But if you don't take the first step, you'll never get to that goal. So it's really a simple, like statistical, mathematical proven thing where once you begin on your path, you can get to where you're going. But if you don't begin the path, you're screwed.
I mean, look at what happened with that Uniswap airdrop.
That was huge.
Yeah, massive. I mean, we all did very well out of that. I was telling somebody about it last night. You know, I actually had about 30 freaking wallets at one point, but sort of missed the cutoff, but still did okay. To me, this is why if you're on the fence here and you don't really care about the space, you should understand that potentially a $50 investment and a couple of days of your time to open a wallet, do something, interact with what's going on here over the next year could return you a huge, huge amount of money. So get in there, jump in. You know, we're going to do this together. The other thing that I find really interesting here is we've got the halving coming up. So Blue, do you want to explain what the halving is, when it's happening, and why BRC20s for me are very relevant? Because the revenue that the miners make is going to be over time sort of disappearing here. So are we seeing the natural evolution of fees?
100%. 100%. We're creating a competitive fee market, which I think is essential for Bitcoin security. So the halving, for every block that is mined. So Bitcoin mines a block every 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes right now, 6.25 Bitcoin go to the miners as a subsidy. So that's been the incentive to mine this whole time. You know, miners mine because they want the block reward, but the block reward keeps getting cut in half every 4 years. So the next halving is coming up in 2024, and it is going to be cutting it from 6.25 to 3.125. So 50% paycheck cut, not great. Now, since Taproot and since Ordinals and BRC20, for the first time in history, fees, which have usually just been like a tip, an add to, a nice to have for the block reward, have exceeded the block reward. I actually think that we could potentially, in the context of a BRC20 mania, we could actually go back one epoch where Bitcoin rewards were 12.5. I think that we could get full blocks mining 12.5 Bitcoin to the miners.
Yep.
So the mining industry is about to explode.
I agree.
And with the mining industry exploding, you are going to have a ton of infrastructure and investment and awareness and regulation, and just the list goes on and on and on. This is like this is Bitcoin coming into the real world and real money going into this infrastructure. It's going to be a gold rush. And then that gold rush is going to turn into an arms race, probably between nations. It's going to be huge.
I'm involved in some carbon credit projects at the moment, and some of the stuff we're looking at sort of came about by trying to find good energy sources for Bitcoin mining. So I do really see that is a big part of this picture for me as well. But sort of, coming back from there, by any chance, do you have a chart to actually show people the amount of money that miners have been making since all this BRC20 stuff kicked off? Because my understanding is it's kind of doubled for them in the last week. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. Let me see if I can pull up an easy to read chart here. Basically, we want to track fees. So here's kind of the previous cycle. You can see the black line is price, and you can see, miners were making a killing here up until the first peak, and then the transaction fees went down. I don't know why the transaction, I guess just people stopped trading Bitcoin because we did have another rally, but the fees didn't go up. And then if you look over here in the most recent price action, it's the highest it's been the whole previous cycle. It's like twice as high as it's been since the previous cycle. It's insane amount of fees. Yep. So if you're a miner right now, good Lord, like how happy are you? How happy are you? In the last 2 weeks, your profitability has gone absolutely insane. Like since, the previous month, you're up 100x in what you're mining. Yeah. It's ridiculous. And I've seen a lot of really, really powerful mining companies set up shop. They were committed before this. And now we're seeing an explosion. It's going to be huge.
Mm. Yeah, I guess my sort of summary of my thinking at this point is proceed with caution. We've spent quite a bit of time getting to know the different Bitcoin communities. So you got BCH, BSV, and there's some chat out there that maybe a lot of this is being geared up by, especially the BSV camp. I will be doing a deep dive on that one, so stay tuned for my thoughts on that. But ultimately, that's huge. As you say, if you're running a big mining operation, all of a sudden you've freaking done 100x.
Yeah.
So look, be careful would be the main point here, right? But you have to be in this game. If you don't have some Bitcoin at this point, you can't play the game. So that's step number one for all of you that haven't done that yet. And number two, yeah, let's have some fun with this. I bought nothing yet. Baloo, what have you bought?
I have bought nothing, but as soon as I heard about BRC 20 on Twitter, I was minting some stuff. So I was able to mint some now, high ranking projects. That was back in early April. And I'm happy. I'm good with that, so I just paid mining fees.
Right.
We'll go from there. We'll see where that ends up.
Okay. I mean, the other thing that I like about what I'm seeing at the moment is, without getting anyone that's still watching is probably technical, so I can talk about Segwit, which created the hard fork to BCH, hence the name of this channel. But this use case of Bitcoin Segwit's actually getting used here. The blocks are getting filled up. One thing I'm hearing is a lot of people are criticizing this, saying, oh, it's going to destroy the Bitcoin blockchain. Everything is going to be really slow, blah, 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 blah. Now, one thing I can tell you with 100% certainty is that is not the case. If you're moving $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, last week that cost you $5. This week it's going to cost you $20. Big freaking deal. It's all these other layers on top of Bitcoin where you're actually going to use it as a payment network, as cash, etc. So for me, what I'm seeing here is the evolution of this network. It's people trying projects. They're just people starting companies trying to do things with that blockchain. So if you're watching this, you are literally probably less than 1,000 people that are actually going to do something about it. So here's your chance, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah. For those who weren't around in 2017, this was kind of already decided was going. We knew this was coming. High fees were always coming. And this is nothing, honestly. Like, my vision of Bitcoin in the future is just pure settlement. So like, if you want a settled transaction where I see Bitcoin going, you're going to spend $500 on that. Are you going to spend $500 to buy coffee? No. Are you going to spend $500 to buy a house? Yes, you are, because it's worth it, because the transaction's valuable. So don't let the FUD veer you off course here, because this was always the plan. We knew this was coming. It's about layer 2. It's about Lightning Network. It's about all the stuff built on top of the settlement layer. The International Bank of Settlements has 7 transactions per second. So, we're doing just fine with that throughput.
Exactly.
It's totally fine to layer up to that and build layers of payments on top of that. If you've done a Bitcoin transaction on the main chain, one day that's going to be a ridiculous statement. Oh yeah, we used to send Bitcoin all the time on the main chain. What do you mean all the time? What were you doing? Oh, I was just paying my buddy for this and that. Like, people down the road are not going to be on the main chain at all. So this is part of it. Don't let the big blockers steer you off course here. We need the miners to make money. More expensive, the better.
Okay. So look, I hope this video has helped you, look, we're learning on this one as well. We will get as many of the top Bitcoin people on this channel in the coming weeks. So make sure you are subscribed. Get over to Blue's links as well there below. Jesse, any final questions or thoughts from you, sir?
No, I think we're definitely. I think the main thing for people to remember, as we mentioned earlier, no boats are being missed. Don't go slipping off a pier trying to get on a boat that doesn't even exist yet. Like, you know, just do your research, and if you're hurting for money at home, don't hurt yourself more with the wrong decisions.
Bitcoin will always be valuable. You can just watch this stuff from afar and it will positively impact your Bitcoin position, in my opinion. So
Bitcoin
don't
seems like a
overcomplicate
good
it.
thing to own. It's a good thing to own Bitcoin, I'm assuming. Not financial advice. I think it's a good idea to own Bitcoin.
As far as we can tell, but we have no clue.
Okay, look, you know, for me, we've been doing this for years now, people. This is a big moment, in my opinion. So now's the time. If you've been on the fence, come and learn. We're here to help. Hit us up, links below, and we will see you all very soon. Cheers, guys.
Have a good one.